SC Media and our sponsor, Fortinet, are proud to present this month's CISO Stories program. Hosted by yours truly, Jess Hoffman, this is the show where CISOs share tales from the trenches and unpack leadership lessons learned along the way. Find this month's CISO Stories content at CISOstoriespodcast.com. The Cyber Risk Collaborative is a unique membership community enabling cybersecurity leaders to work together in a trusted environment. To learn more, visit CISOstoriespodcast.com/CRC. All right. Greetings, everyone. Welcome back for another week's episode of CISO Stories Podcast. You got yours truly, Jess Hoffman, in the house, and my girl, Sheena Thomas. What's up, Sheena?
Hi, Jess. It's an honor to be here with you.
Oh, you're so sweet. I'm honored to have you with us at Temple University, CISO. You go, girl. I love Temple.
I appreciate that.
Yes, that's so awesome. Shout out to all the Temple grads and professors out there. The wonderful program. I know you got a lot going on over there, so we appreciate you. Thank you. And you're just an amazing person. Amazing person. Sheena's one of the first people I met when I first moved to Philly. So now I'm like, come on, girl, let's go. Come on, let's go. Well, thanks for making time to be on the show with us today. We were talking about cloud security. That's our theme for this month, which obviously we all deal with clouds every single day. And our prep talk, I really liked we circle back to our theme for this show is to trust or not to trust the cloud. That is the question. So tell me why do you trust the cloud or don't you?
I don't. I don't. It's not that I don't trust the cloud. I think for me as the CISO, making sure we have the appropriate protections around the cloud, right? Because cloud is in every aspect of our lives, whether it's email, whether it's apps, it's everywhere. We're becoming more and more dependent on it. But I was just reading in an article how one university had a ransomware attack through their cloud services. A ransom attack occurred, and this happened during, I think it was their finals week, and it shut everything down. So the students were affected, faculty were affected, and their reputation. So it's really imperative that if we're going to move into the cloud, we're going to get rid of our data centers to, reduce costs and everything else. We have to make sure we have the appropriate controls in place. So that's my feelings. Like, I don't trust anything as a CISO. I don't. But it is a mechanism that we use, but we have to make sure we secure it. That's what we need to do.
Period. So I was just thinking, who doesn't want to hack their grades? Maybe it was just somebody trying to get out of finals or something. I don't know.
No, I have so many jokes behind that, but I won't go there today.
We won't go there yet. Okay, I know.
Especially when I was in college.
And it is finals week, or finals was last week. I don't know.
Yeah,
it's definitely finals time. I'm feeling it myself.
That's for sure.
So, okay, well, as a CISO then, what are some of the things that would make you more trusting of a cloud service provider?
So that's a good question. So for me, when you're looking at a cloud service provider, you need to know where the cloud service service provider responsibility stops and your start. Like, what platform? Is it platform as a service? Is it infrastructure as a service? Or is it a SaaS product? Like, where are we at when we're looking at our cloud service providers? Then once you have that understanding, you want to look at, what are our SLAs? What are our data disaster recovery mechanisms? What does the contract says? Then we go down the rabbit hole to make sure we have the appropriate configurations in place, making sure we're enabling encryption. Don't give everyone admin access in the cloud. Role-based access, turn off the default permissions, and make sure we're protecting our APIs. Our APIs are really crucial when it goes to getting resources from the clouds. A lot of times we're enabling APIs. We want to make sure the token is secure, authentication is secure. These are the things we want to do. It's another part of my job too, where we have a lot of SaaS products. We have, it only makes sense. Given the time, how we work, we have a ton of SaaS products. So you don't have to be on campus. You're hybrid. You can be home. You can log into a Canvas or whatever from home. But before we go to look at these products, or excuse me, bring these products into our environment, what type of vetting are we doing, right? Are we talking to the vendor about what is your encryption level? Do you have backups? What is your disaster recovery plan? We really have to start vetting the companies that are housing our data. And we do it based on data classification, whether it's confidential data, sensitive data. We require certain things of the cloud service, of the SaaS product and the cloud service provider based on the data we're sending to that particular application. So it's a lot of moving parts, and you have to do this because there was another incident that happened to a company where I know where a breach happened. Students, employees were affected, and then the vendor said, "Well, we're not going to notify. You notify." But it was like it wasn't the company's incident. It was your incident. It was the breach that happened in your system. So you have to make sure these things are ironed out from the beginning. So that following these steps will increase my, I don't want to say trust, but yeah, I guess a little bit, increase my trust in different cloud service providers.
Digital migration to the cloud is essential for businesses to remain competitive, but this shift introduces many new security and operational challenges, especially as the number of clouds and applications increase, rapidly expanding your attack surface for cyber threats to exploit. Organizations need a way to unify these increasingly diverse and vulnerable environments. Fortinet Cloud Security Solutions help you secure your application journeys into, within, and across any cloud. So let's level set for those folks who aren't familiar with the academia environment. What kind of data sets do you have there?
Oh, we have everything. So we have things from personal health information, personal identifiable information, research. So for us, we're R1 institution. So we do we get contracts from the government as well. We do a ton of research, whether it's on the cure for HIV, childhood obesity, a lot of these studies that are important. That's the type of data we're trying to protect while allowing the researchers to be able to work with other universities, still protecting the data, but working with other universities. So we have a ton of data that we need to protect, the levels, the sensitivity levels.
Yes, yes, and I'm a bit familiar. That's why I just want to like level set with the audience because not a lot of people might know that you get a lot of research information from federal institutions alike. So certainly higher education and K through 12 are held to some serious regulatory requirements as well.
Yeah.
So it sounds like you're reporting on a lot of those things. I asked that because you mentioned about being cognizant of what data you're putting into the cloud, and I'm sure that dictates a lot of what you just said, right? That trust factor, like show me your SOC reports, or show me some
Absolutely.
vulnerability scans, or what kind of tenant am I using? I can't believe SAS told you that they weren't responsible for reporting. Was it that they were just telling you, and then you had to tell all your customers or all
Yeah,
the
they
folks?
wanted us
Yeah.
to relay a message to our students, but we had to get legal involved, counsel involved, and they worked through it. But yeah, that was real. They did not want to do the notification piece of it. They did not, and it was like, well, wait a minute now.
But
But
they notified you though, right?
they
So
notified
that's the
us.
extent. So good
Exactly.
point there as far as knowing what it is that you're getting from the service. They're not going above and well, I don't know. I guess it wasn't above and beyond. It wasn't in their contract. All they had to do was notify you as their client, and then you're responsible for all the folks'
Absolutely.
data that you have. I mean, I guess that makes sense.
Yeah. Well, here's the thing. I did want to touch on something, Jess. You mentioned the regulations. I'm glad you mentioned that piece of it because that was a part I was supposed to touch on. We're in the midst of the federal government basically is tired of seeing their blueprints pop up on the dark web. So what they're doing is, because we're R1 institution, we have to be compliant with NSP M33. And that basically is, if you're receiving $50 million from the federal government, you have to have certain controls in place. And so that's why, when we put different things in the cloud, I have to be cognizant of those requirements as well, in that environment as well. So I just wanted to touch on that because you mentioned it. I thought that was a really good point to bring out. That's what I was wanted
I'm
to
not
bring out.
familiar with that regulation. Could you expand on that a little
So
bit?
yes, that regulation was signed off 2 administrations ago. If you're receiving 50, it's the national, and I know I'm gonna mess this up. Oh, I should have got the acronym before I jumped on, but everybody can Google it. It's NSPM 33. My apologies. Is a memorandum that was signed off 2 administrations ago, as I said before, making sure that you have security awareness training in place, export controls in place, that you have all these things in place to make sure you're protecting the research data. That's the whole key to everything. And it's honestly going to change the way our researchers work, because you can no longer do research information on your personal laptop. You have to be on a company managed laptop, because these are company managed laptops. Make sure we have the encryption in place, make sure the patching is there. So it's really changing the way our researchers are going to work, but in a positive way, because we don't want attackers to steal their years of research data that they've been working so hard on. So I understand it's going to be a culture change and it's going to be hard at first, but in the end, it's going to be very beneficial, because again, we're here to protect the data,
Period.
you know.
Awesome. Well, thank you for that. I think it's really cool. You touch a lot of different data, and obviously changing people's lives over there. Well, let's talk about maybe some. Have you seen any vulnerabilities specifically related to some of the apps? I mean, you mentioned about, that one particular incident that happened in another school. But do you have any idea that you can share? Like, what are some of the threats maybe that you're facing as a higher learning institution, maybe that I'm not facing at the city of Philadelphia?
So a couple things we're facing within higher ed: compromised accounts. I'm sure you may be facing this at the state, the city level. We have alumni accounts, and some of our alumni accounts don't have MFA on them. And that's a problem because they haven't been here in about 30 years. We implemented MFA maybe 10 years ago. So we have a severe problem with compromised accounts, in a sense where the attackers are getting so good, even for the accounts that are protected with MFA, they're able to social engineer the end user. So much so where the end user is putting in a passcode for them to be able to get into the person's information. I mean, we have it's hard. Our students are going to click, not our students, people are going to click on the phishing link. They're going to click on it. They're going to be, and the attackers are so good, and AI is so good. They're making the link and the page that they go to look like one of our pages, one of our authentication pages. It's phenomenal. I must have to say, it really is. It's scary at the same hand. But they're clicking on a link. They're putting in their username and password. They're putting in their MFA passcode, going all the way. And the attackers are getting this information and going in and possibly maybe changing their direct deposit. You know, it's happening. It's a concern for us. I'm trying to do more when it comes to training. I'm trying to do more when it comes to security awareness, making it a campaign, not just during Security Awareness Month, but throughout the year. You know, giving tips. We're seeing constant communication. That's a major issue for us as well. And the shadow IT is another major issue for us. We are decentralized, and centralized IT, I feel like we got a good handle, but it's those servers that's sitting under the desk, under a research desk, that I don't know about. I don't have visibility into seeing. So that's really scary for me. And are they running an antiquated operating system? You know, they're not getting patched. They have their research data on it. And what if something happens? I'm not going to be able to restore. I'm not going to be able to help this poor researcher if something was to happen. So shadow IT is another concern for us when it comes to our different schools and colleges. But we're trying to put in certain controls and things in place so we can get visibility, so we can assist them and say, hey, that's an old operating system. Not you might, you have to, because one, you're out of compliance. Upgrade to the latest version and bring your system into compliance with our policy. So I have way more concerns, but we don't have enough time, Jess. But those are the two that's high on my list. That was, high
Yeah.
on my list. And I don't want to put our dirty laundry out there for the world to know. But a lot of universities are facing this. We're number 6 industry most attacked is higher ed. So it's a
Hmm.
problem for us.
Absolutely. I know you're on CISO's watch list too. So um, I don't know if that's a good thing or a bad thing, but they're there for you if you need them. So let's go back to cloud security as far as we talked about the importance of having playbooks specifically for cloud security. So I'm going to assume that you work with a lot of different CSPs for in whatever capacity, whether, it's the infrastructure platform and, you're building software on top of it or just using software. I know at Penn State we use Canvas. I'm not sure what you guys are using, but
Yes, we use
certainly,
Canvas as well. Yep.
yeah, there's certainly a lot of trust there in those third party services that if they went down, I mean, gosh, I'm sure, we're not old or anything, but you remember when we had to turn in papers, like
Oh,
actual
remember
paper?
that?
Yeah,
Yeah.
now nobody even has paper anymore in the classroom. So,
We
yeah, if
had a
like
floppy disk
Canvas was
too.
down, I mean, students couldn't do their work.
Yep.
Um, professors couldn't grade their work. They couldn't see your status. Couldn't
Exactly.
ultimately, in the end, configure all the grades for finals or whatever. So,
Yeah.
yeah, there's a lot of dependencies there for the business to run and your students to be able to get the education that they're paying for. So, what kind of playbooks or how's your approach to some of those things when you talk about incident response, specifically for those cloud services?
So we. So I think you just brought up a good thought for me. So we do have playbooks. Our playbooks are, for our incident response, we have ransomware playbook, malware playbooks, business email compromise playbooks. So we do have incident response. We are a multi-cloud environment. Some AWS, some Oracle, Azure, multi-cloud. We use a ton of SaaS products in our environment. So if an incident was to occur, it just depends on the type of incident, right? If it's a ransomware attack or if it's a malware, things of that nature, we'll go based off of whatever the incident. We'll pull the playbook, enact the playbook, and go through our steps. Whether we have to isolate, figure it out, contain it, whatever those steps are. That's what we'll take. But it all depends on the type of incident that occurs for us.
So I guess you just kind of I've been in situations too where it wasn't like anything directly my company was responsible for, right? It was one of our vendors. That's why, third party risk management is so important, scoring vendors, making sure that they're doing their due diligence, blah blah blah. The clouds are no different. I think it does operate a little bit differently because they're, the big ones, they're kind of holding their reports close to the chest. We have a lot of opportunity as consumers to configure, right, and have the tools to have visibility. But we still rely on them heavily for, like you said earlier, like disaster recovery, right? We're not going to see their secondary site or their failover site, right?
I know.
We have to trust them that they have that, and I mean, I'm sure AWS does. I mean, I feel like I personally feel like there's a lot more trust. I would trust the cloud more than I would trust some on prem, to be completely honest. And I guess that's just because I feel like nobody's perfect, but it's been quite a few years to where they've been able to like fine tune this,
I agree.
you know?
I agree.
Does
I
that make
do.
you feel any better though too about the clouds, that it's just they're much more mature than like, 10 years ago?
I do. I think they have the right business model. I think they have the appropriate protections in place. Again, like you said, no one is perfect, but I do feel comfortable until something happens. And then it's like, all right, now wait a minute. But I do. And you know what? At the end of the day, it's about your risk tolerance as well. You know, we need to get out of our data centers. We need to cut costs. So one way for us to cut costs is to move to the cloud. So we're accepting a certain level of risk there because essentially we're taking our data, putting it into someone else's data, the cloud. So we have to have some level of trust, but we have to do our due diligence. You know, we have to hold the folks accountable that we're trusting them with our keys to the kingdom, so to speak. So I do have a certain level, still uncomfortable. I'm uncomfortable. I'm from the old school. I'm uncomfortable at every stage. Like even AI, everything, you know, we were nervous about going into the cloud at first. I'm like, what is this? What do we have to do? What do you mean from our data center now? What protection? So, you know, everything is evolution and everything is evolving. And we want to keep up with the times, but we also still want to make sure we're doing the appropriate things to protect our data. But I'm still uneasy. I'm on edge all the time. I really am. That's what everyone says. Sheena, relax. Stuff is going to happen. We just have to make sure, you know, we're prepared. We are resilient, you know, because it's the cliche term. It's not an if, it's a when. I hate that term, but it's true. And just make sure we're able to recover. You know, we're able to withstand the attacks that's going to hit us. So, but
Yeah, I
I'm
didn't
not
get that
trusting.
vibe. I didn't get that vibe that you're always on edge. I just thought you were just like excited about, life,
It's all the above.
security.
It depends on which day you talk to me, right? I went to a conference and the whole conference was about ransomware and different attacks. And by the time I was done that conference, I was completely on edge about everything. I called my manager up. We need to do this. We need to do that. We're not doing enough. So yeah, it
I
just
think that's
depends.
the purpose. If you don't leave scared from some of these events, then you weren't really paying attention.
Exactly. Exactly.
Yeah.
But I love what I
Certainly.
do though.
I can
I do.
tell you do. I'm really excited that you're in the position. I know there's a lot of great stuff going on over there in Temple. So again, we really
It really
appreciate you.
is. I'm
Really
really happy with
appreciate all you
this
doing.
organization. I'm proud of us, you know. Room for
Yeah.
improvement, but I am proud of our department and the whole ITS and just how we come together to resolve issues and try to make it better, you know, for the students. Always trying to align with the students because it's about our students. You know, we take it personal. We are really try to really be in tune with the students. That's our goal, making sure security aligned with the business.
So you don't gotta go into details about this, but do you have like a contingency plan if campus was down?
um,
I'm sure there is one. I'm sure there is one.
for sure.
I don't.
No,
I don't even
it
know if
is
that would be
no.
your responsibility, really. I mean, I think whoever owns the system,
All
sure.
jokes aside, we do.
Yeah,
All jokes
yeah.
aside, we do. And Canvas is run by our application side of the field, but I would definitely be involved in whatever they need. Oh, Jess, why did you bring that up? Our students, our babies are still going through finals. Please, please, we're trying to go into the new
I
year
listen.
on a happy foot.
It'll be fine. It'll be fine.
I
It's
mean,
gonna
but the
be all
fact
right.
remains, we do have outages. Let's be clear. Like
Right.
different cloud service, they have outages. A couple of our systems had outages, and we had to play the waiting game. You know, it's going to happen, right? It's going to happen. But when it comes to systems as important as Canvas and Banner and those systems, man, that's critical. That will really hurt our reputation. So you definitely do have to have a contingency plan in place for if this were to happen. But we there are outages. Outages happens. Not as frequent, but they happen. And sometimes they don't happen at the best time, you know, but they do happen.
Yeah. Good point. It's more probably around outage. I mean, shoot. Were you impacted by the global or worldwide outage that happened on last Wednesday night? Do you know what I'm talking
No,
about?
no,
Oh my gosh, ChatGPT wasn't online. It was awful.
really?
Could you imagine? I didn't know what to do. I'm just playing. I don't know what to
No, I
do.
didn't hear about that one. We were in a zero trust workshop. I've been at so many meetings last week. By the time Friday came, I was done. So no, I didn't hear about that
Yeah,
one. We have to chat about
I
that
say
one.
that jokingly, but I mean, but that's kind of like, I'm sure, I know people are freaking out because I
Absolutely.
got multiple texts like, do you know what's going on? But to your point, there's outages, they happen. So like, like you just said, you identify critical. Some of them are in the cloud, if not most of them. Understanding what you're getting into bed with as far as partnership, who's responsible for what,
Absolutely.
maximum tolerable downtime, having all those backups, playbooks, all the planning and stuff. So pretty standard, but certainly, the most important thing I'm hearing, Sheena, is that, you understand your audience and you guys have already identified what is critical to making sure that you're providing those services, very important services,
Absolutely.
educational services to your students as well as the research. So, really,
Absolutely.
really cool, really, really cool. So we're coming up on time. So tell me, Sheena, tell us what you want to leave the audience with.
What do I want to leave the audience with? You know what? The truth of the matter is that cloud security is very complex, and no, whether it's university, finance, no organization is immune to the different threats and attack. So we just need to be aware. We just need to do our due diligence. We need to make sure we're vetting these cloud service providers and holding them, looking at our contracts, looking at our SLAs. And so we can navigate this landscape together with more confidence. I just want to leave on a positive note. Even though I don't trust anything, I trust that the cloud service providers will hopefully do what they say they're going to do in protecting our data. So I just want to leave on a positive note. We're all in this battle together, and we're all in the battle together. And I'm just as nervous as the next CISO, but we're going to keep putting our foot forward and keep moving forward with protecting the confidentiality, integrity, and availability of the data. I know that's such a cliche, the CIA triad, but I always bring it up to everyone. That's our cornerstone. It's still there. So just want to leave on a note like that.
Period. And one last question for you. I
Sure.
ask all my guests, Sheena, tell us what advice would you give 18-year-old Sheena right now?
In the world of security you're referring to, or just in general?
Whatever you want. Whatever you want.
Advice: believe in yourself. It's okay not to know and not to have all the answers. Find someone who is doing what you want to do and make them your blueprint. Take a little of what they're doing, have a couple mentors, and mix it all together, and then you move forward. But always find that mentor, find that person that's doing exactly or close to what you want to do, and poke them, ask them the questions. There's a blueprint for this, and follow them. And I'm sure, they're more than willing to pay it forward. So that's what I would tell. But most importantly, believe in yourself. Go out there, conquer the world. I love it. Thank you. I
I
like
love
that
it.
question. That was a good question.
I like your answer, paying it forward. And I
Yeah.
know that you're a mentor and a beacon of light for us all, Sheena. I
I
love to see
try
you
to
in
be.
action. I love to see you in action. She's
I try to be.
animated. She'd be like, yes, let's
I
go.
do.
We
I'm trying to
excited.
contain my hand motion. I'm trying to contain myself.
That's all right. You did perfectly. Thank you. Thank you again
No,
for joining us, Sheena, and dropping some gems. You're our first higher education guest, I think, or at least with me. So it's always really cool to hear about the other industries, because yours is very, very critical to our ecosystem of life. So thank you for all you do.
it's an honor. Thank you, Jess. Anything for you, Jess. Just reach out. Just call me. I'm there.
Oh, you're so sweet. All right. Thanks, everybody, for joining us. Until next time.
Thank you.
Thank you for tuning in for this week's episode of the CISO Stories podcast. We want to say a special thank you to our sponsor, Fortinet. Please subscribe to the CISO Stories podcast, and you will receive a new story each Tuesday at 10 a.m. Eastern Time. We'll see you next week for a new episode.